it's just this wonderful, wonderful world of art and uh, presentation that people put out when they're performing it live, and to get to connect it with being, people that are from St. Louis, where I've lived, my whole life pretty much, and love this city, and always also kind of wanted. I always had this thing in the back of my mind where I was always thinking, at some point, what can I do to really help do something for St. Louis? What's something I can do to really showcase how great a city this actually is? Because I feel like we've gotten a bad rap over the last decade or so. There's really so much talent here, and if whatever genre of music you're into, you can find someone locally, and as opposed to waiting for your favorite major act to maybe tour through St. Louis, if we're
Right.
lucky enough to actually get them on a tour, for the amount you'd pay to see one of those bands once, you can see your new favorite local band over and over and over and over. And you get to be right up there. You don't have to worry about, how close can I get for paying for this ticket. It's they're all pretty much general admission. You get there, you can stand right in front of the stage if you want. If you want to hang back by the back of the venue, you can do that. But it's a great musical experience where you get to be right up close with this new band that you suddenly have learned about, and now you're really into their stuff, and now you can go home and stream their music, or you can buy they'll sell vinyl sometime if you're into that. You can buy that,
Yeah,
take it home and listen to it.
that's so cool.
It's just there's so many ways to take in this local music, and so yeah, we just want more people to do that.
So feel me when I bring it, sing it loud. I'm from the loot and I'm proud. Run a mile for the cause. I'm right.
Hi, guys. It's your girl Nakama, your favorite Jew from the Lou. Welcome back to my podcast. And today I am so excited to have Josh Boekesch with us.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and hello, I'm so slow. I just realized that you're representing
Oh, yeah.
your whole brand.
Have
We've got
to
this Scene
let people know
314
what's going
here.
on. Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah. Merchandise available now, by the way, if anybody's interested.
Yeah, we're going to give all the links in the bio so people can find you
Yes,
easily.
please.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm so excited to dive into this
Yeah.
because I've been a big fan of yours and what you've been doing this past year with the scene
Yeah.
because St. Louis has a great music scene.
It really does. It's
Yeah.
really, I always enjoyed it, and then starting this whole process and getting into it and just getting out more to get the stuff that we need for, what we're doing, it's like it's really eye-opening to go, wow, like we've got some incredible, incredible artists in this town, and it's just been so fun to get a chance to showcase them and get, the word out on.
Yeah. And it's really cool because we had a previous guest, Nick, who was also really into the music world. And he's
Hmm.
the one who like opened my eyes up to like, no, there's so much like talent that's almost like hidden unless you're like already a fan of their band
Yeah.
or your friends or family. There just isn't enough like community around the talent that's here.
Yeah.
And so I love that you're like having a space where you're not just with a specific niche of music, it's all the music that is St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it helps, to be a fan of just music in general, and even just the being a fan of just a good performance,
Hmm.
depending on what kind of music you're into. I mean, I've seen everything in this town from local pop acts to metal bands to hip hop artists to punk, all the different things. And there's a lot of bands that are just not only incredible musicians, but they put on a really captivating show where you're there the whole time and you don't want to step outside and do something else or leave the stage area from, while they're performing. It's just there's a lot of incredible talent in this town, and just trying to get the word out there as much as we can and pack the venues if we can help out with that.
Yeah. So I'd love to go into the backstory though
Okay.
of like, how did you get into this? Because I mean, on a personal note, I love music, right?
Right.
I love curating my Spotify account and finding new music, even if it's not new, but to me, it's like a discovery or just sharing. Like I told you, Spotify has this really cool feature where you can make blends with your friends.
Yeah.
And like that has really helped me open up my taste in music and learn so much.
Yeah.
But I'd love to know how you kind of went from being like a consumer to someone who is like curating this space.
Well, so yeah, so the time that I came up with this, I was working for a local radio company, and so I was just around music and all that kind of stuff all the time, and kind of had just gotten to the point where, I was like, okay, we need to. It didn't seem like the next step was coming through the job, and I started noticing these local musicians and kept being like, hey, like, what can we do to can we put their songs on the radio? Can we do like a 1 hour a week show where it's like, hey guys, here's just a bunch of local artists. And as much as people enjoyed the idea of it, it wasn't anything that materialized. And, it was kind of getting to the point where I was like, okay, if something doesn't happen here soon at this job, I think it's time to find my next step.
Yeah.
And started looking around, it was kind of just really started being like, wanted to go out and see some live music and started trying to look for that. And there wasn't really anything that was really putting it out there. There was places where you could go and you could see a cover band and they'd be playing at night and, whatever. But in terms of original local music, there wasn't really anything that was really putting it out there. So just kind of said, okay, well, then I'll do that.
Yeah, why not?
And so just kind of put a message out on Instagram to people I knew, just be like, hey, tell me your favorite local artists. Like, I'm working on something, details coming soon. And luckily, a good friend of mine, my friend Alice, she worked in multiple venues in the Grove. So there was places where they'd have music going on all the time. And she gave me this long list of people. And that actually led to our first podcast interview, which was a local rapper named Damon, who's also part of a local hip hop group called Rotten. And through that, I met him, did the first episode of the podcast, went and saw them perform, and I was just like, my mind was blown with how good their show was and how the level of energy and excitement in the crowd and how much fun they were having and how the quality of their music.
Yeah.
And realistically, just that from the beginning was like, okay, yeah, this is the way to go. And then just through that, posting more stuff and posting about people's shows, more bands and artists started reaching out and
That's the best feeling.
oh, it was great. They'd be
Yeah.
like, it was either, hey man, like we've got a show coming up. Can you post about it? Which I tell everybody, send me your stuff. Send me if you got a show coming up, if you're releasing an album or a song or anything, send it to me and we will share it. That is the goal and that is the job that we're doing here is
And it
to
makes your job easier if they come to you as
oh,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And telling and also just telling people to go to the shows. Hey, if you go to the show and you shoot some video and you put it on your Instagram or whatever social media you're using that we're on, tag us in it and we'll share it and then just like get the word out as much as we can. So, yeah, it just kind of developed as we went on and started just popping out to more and more shows and becoming familiar with the people that were performing, the people that ran the venues, and then that just led to more and more coming in and it's just been a whirlwind of amazing music since then.
Yeah. And also connection, right? Because there's nothing like music to connect
Oh, yeah.
people. Because I think people have stereotypes. Like they think that there's certain types of people who listen to certain niches of music.
Right.
To an extent, that's true.
Yeah.
But it's also so fun to see who shows up
Yeah.
at different like genre events. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And of course, people are going to probably prefer one certain style of music out there, but also there's a lot of people that are into multiple kinds of music. So you'll
Yeah.
see that some of the same people at, a hip hop show, and then you'll see them at a emo band show, and then you'll see them at a and honestly, it's very interesting seeing the stereotypes kind of that go along with the type of people that are at these shows and just things that have come up in the past just from different genres of how like, these people act. Like I've been to metal shows throughout the city and there's some of the people at those shows are some of the nicest people
It's also
you
a
meet.
lot of IT guys,
Oh yeah.
like hard,
Hmm.
heavy metal. That cracks me
Yeah,
up.
just because you're a quiet person doesn't mean you don't want to just like blare some loud music
Oh
and
yeah.
rock out in your head
I
and
know a lot of IT guys who are like especially in the corporate world, they're all buttoned up. They're
Hmm.
in their little corner with all their wires and whatever. They got their earbuds in, and like you would never know.
Yeah.
You would never know.
Yeah, no, and then you'll see some tiny little like innocent looking person at like a hip hop show just losing their mind and
Mm-hmm.
dancing and jumping all over the place, and then you can turn around and see that same person at, one of the rock shows. So
Yeah.
it really is, and I feel like, there is a certain local community fan base where people just want to see all the local shows, and it's really cool also going to see a local show and seeing people at the show and they're singing along every word. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't a band that's, touring the country or touring the world and their music's everywhere and they
Yeah.
still know, the words to their songs, and
Super
they
cool.
just want to get out there and have fun and dance around, and you can talk to the bands after the show and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's really cool seeing how that all comes together locally.
So what does music mean for you though, on a personal level? Like how did you find this love?
It's just always been something I've enjoyed, like since I really started just knowing what it was and getting a grasp of the true landscape of different kinds of music. Growing up, my dad was primarily listening to a lot of like classic rock type stuff, and my mom was more into like country music stuff. So that was kind of all I knew growing up. And then, once you start to get to about middle school or so and actually learn that there's this whole world of different kinds of music. MTV was huge. I'd come home and watch like TRL, and I'd listen to all the top 40 countdowns. So I just was learning about all this different stuff. And then um, it was just also a way to connect with people.
Yeah.
Your friend tells you about a band or somebody that you don't know about, and you listen to them, you go, oh my God, this is great. And then you get a chance to go, hey, have you heard of this person?
Mm-hmm.
No, take a listen. And then they go, oh my gosh, like this is really great.
Yeah.
And also just the experience of going to the live shows. It's like you can go there whether you're by yourself or with another person or with a group of people, and you can connect with the music, or it's even if you just want an opportunity to like not say anything for a couple hours, and
Mm-hmm.
or just a chance to scream for a couple hours. It's this great way to just like, it's a great outlet to just get out whatever is going on with you, or just be really happy and dance around and be a goof for, however many hours it's going on. So music was just always there. And if I was in a mood of some kind, you could just throw on a particular artist or type of music and just zone out to that. And yeah, it's just kind of always been available and been there regardless of what all else was going on. So
Yeah.
it's just always been something I've really loved.
There was this quote that I got like, what's the right word? Inscripted on like my little iPad Nano when I
Hmm.
was like in middle school, where it said, "Where words fail, music speaks."
Hmm.
And I loved that because there
Yeah.
was just like, I think that's the same reason why I love quotes, or maybe I just like love poetry. It's just like there's certain expressions or certain like scenarios in life and experiences that you go through that it's so hard to like articulate. And then somehow they find a way to like capture it
Yeah.
in such a tight, succinct way that it's just like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah, well, and that's the reason people make so much different kinds of music. People make sad love songs
Mm-hmm.
because people get out of bad relationships. People make these incredible happy love songs because you finally find the person you want to be with. People make these songs that mean nothing because sometimes you don't want to think about anything. So it's just the landscape of music has just always been something that, you know, regardless of whatever feeling you're feeling at the moment, you can find something that'll connect with that, and you just enjoy yourself.
Yeah. And it's really cool talking to artists too, because I mean, I'm just so curious about the fact that it's obviously such an amazing gift and
Hmm.
something you can curate for sure to be able to like write songs and
Yeah.
to play music and write and play all these different instruments, and especially if you have a band and you're the one who's like leading the band and you're coordinating all this together, like, it's so cool. It's such a gift. And then in the end you're performing it and it's exciting, and then if it's received well there's like that high. But I always wonder, like after a while, if they're performing the same stuff over and over again, do artists get bored of their work?
Yeah. I guess it just depends on the way you feel about just performing in general. I think, you know, especially with these local bands, like they're happy to perform the same songs over and over because, every show you go to, they perform at, there's going to be somebody that's never seen them before. So you want to bring out your best stuff and, in your mind. And yeah, and I know there's a lot of bigger bands that tour, worldwide, and I've heard stories of being like, yeah, this is like our biggest hit, but we hate performing it live, or like
Yeah.
I wish I'd never made that song because I hated it from the beginning, and somehow that wound up being our biggest song. So I guess it just depends on how you feel about your music and whether or not it's just the experience is there for you, or if it's for the audience that's coming out and supporting you. And it's like, okay, like we know they want to hear the hits, we know they want to hear these big songs, but also we've got some songs that weren't, on the radio or had a lot of recognition that we know that like our real fan base, like they love this song that's like the second to last song on the album.
Yeah.
So, and that's another thing with, going out and seeing these shows is kind of seeing the bands and people and going, okay, like which songs are the ones that you're having on every single time. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I guess it just depends on how you feel and what you want to perform when you have
Yeah.
the opportunity.
Do you yourself write or play any music?
Um, so I have like a band that is basically just like me and some buddies, and we play in the basement, and it's mostly we just do like cover songs, but we try to like find a song and then kind of switch it up and make it into our little version of it. When I was younger, I had a friend in high school who is a producer on some level now, and we used to make some songs together. So I wrote some, but they're just kind of like little
Yeah.
goofy whatever songs, and
Yeah.
it's tough to. That's another thing. I fully commend people that are able to write and make these songs, because so many times where I was like, okay, like maybe I'll like try writing another song. And then you get a couple lines into it and you're just like, this is nonsense. Like, what is this? Like, this sounds ridiculous. So to
Right.
get to the point where you can write a song and go, yeah, I like this. This is good. Now let's put music behind it and and record it and make a whole thing of it. It's really, it's a lot harder than it seems.
There's so much involved.
Uh-huh.
There's so much involved, even if you're not even trying to put it out there professionally,
Right.
just to for your own sake, like just to like create it from writing
Yeah.
to having like the vocal abilities. And then the interesting thing is some people are excellent songwriters,
Hmm.
but they're not performers per se. So then they like sell their songs to
Yeah.
different artists, which that was something I learned about a few years ago. And I was like blown away by that.
Oh, yeah.
That's really cool.
And also just the thought of, I mean, when I was younger, I remember trying to learn how to play guitar, and it just, in the process of trying to learn how to play it, it just seems so incomprehensible to me that somebody can
Mhm.
not only learn how to play the guitar, but play it at a really high level and do all these,
Master it.
yeah, and do all
Yeah.
these different sounds and different chords and different progressions and bend the notes into different ways. And it just like, it just makes my head hurt to think that that's something that's even possible.
Right. I mean, I think there's kind of like two different types of musicians, right? There's the ones who are just born with like this crazy God-given talent
Yeah.
that's just like beyond anything that anyone could hope to practice on. And then if they also take the time to master it and
Hmm.
practice and learn, they're untouchable.
Yeah.
But you can learn if you work hard enough. Some people, it just takes a little bit more time, you know?
Yeah.
Like my mom, she is incredibly talented with the guitar. Like she can just hear a song and like figure out
Yeah.
how to play it herself. I'm not that way.
Yeah.
If I work really hard, I can learn an instrument, but I'm not just someone who can just start and tinker around and figure it out. But my mom can, and it's so cool.
Yeah. Even, my buddies we mess around in the basement just playing, whatever song we kind of pops into our head and we decide we should do, like we'll listen to it, and I'll just watch them kind of like do this, and then they'll start moving their fingers around and going,
Mm.
okay, okay, that's that. And I'm just like, they don't have to read it. They don't have to read the sheet music off of anything. I'm just like, how do you do that?
It's
Like,
amazing to
it's
watch it
really just doesn't make
happen.
any sense to me.
Yeah, it's like alchemy in a
Yeah.
way, but with music.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And then I think it's also interesting about like from a consumer perspective, I've had two experiences with music where it's like sometimes I'll hear a song And it's like the coolest feeling because it's like sometimes I go through these seasons where it's like I have my favorite songs, I have my favorite bands, my genres, whatever. And then I'm like, well, I guess I've discovered it all. It's
Yeah.
over. There's nothing new that's
Oh
intriguing
no,
me.
yeah, it's
And then one day you just hear a new song and you're like, and we're back. And
yeah,
then you just, especially with my ADD, I'll listen to the same song like on repeat ad nauseum.
yeah,
And I still can't remember a line,
yeah,
but I love it. Or I've also had the opposite experience where like a friend introduces a song, I hear the song, and I'm like, "Eh."
yeah,
But then like coffee or wine, like you can acquire a taste for it. It's kind of like the gym will play like certain pop music all the
yeah,
time, and at first you're like, oh God, and the next thing you know, it becomes one of like your favorite songs.
yeah. Um, and and that's the beauty part about nowadays with music is there's just so many different platforms for it to be available, and you can, that's something I love about something that can set apart a good like TV show or movie from a great TV show or movie is whoever's in charge of picking music that's involved in it.
So
Like
true.
there's I don't know how many people watching or listening to this are familiar with there's two shows made by the same guy. There's one called Letterkenny, and there's one called Shoresy. It's made by the same guy. They're based in Canada, and the shows are great. But one of my favorite parts is the end of every episode always has a song that, like, starts during the last part of the last scene and goes into the credits. And whoever is the person that's in charge of picking music for that show, it's like completely different every show and but it just fits the moment so well, and it's so different in the different genres where it's like all of a sudden now I'm listening to, like, I'm not a big like house music EDM person, like I can't just sit there and listen to it over and over, but they'll play a song on the end of the episode. I'm like getting out my Shazam and what
Hmm.
is this song, and then I'm listening to it over and
Shazam is the
over.
best thing,
Shazam is one of the best inventions that's ever
literally.
been created on the planet.
Hmm.
But yeah, and it's so these people that I wish I had the time and energy to be able to take in as much music as some of these people that are able to find these and put them in these productions as these people do, because it's the different kinds of music that are out there that I've never heard of before are just amazing.
Right. And that's, I think, a big part of the reason why music is art, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many ways that it can go about changing a moment. Like, I think it's so cool how you hear a song and it will take you back to a specific moment in time.
Hmm.
And it's just kind of stuck in this like beautiful like memory box forever.
Yeah.
And it will just take you back there for
Yeah.
better or for worse.
Yeah. Like I remember being a huge fan. I mean, still am, but like I grew up and like my favorite band was The Killers. Like they just, I
Yeah.
loved.
What genre is that?
They're alt rock, I guess. I mean,
Okay.
they kind of changed their style a lot, so I'm not exactly sure what to put them in, but like they're a rock band, one of the biggest bands in the world. Are you not familiar with The Killers?
No, yeah.
The
Can I
song,
tell you what my genres are? I
sure,
have very specific
okay,
genres. So we kind of touched on this a little bit in our pregame, but I grew up in a very different world music wise
yeah,
because I grew up in a very like insular music world in the Orthodox Jewish world where it's funny because my parents are actually more chill than I am when I
hmm,
grew up. I went through this very like the pendulum swung extreme religiously when I was
yeah,
like middle school and high school. And that's usually when you're experiencing music and finding your own vibes and exploring. And I was doing like the opposite, where I was like only listening to Jewish artists, only listening to
right,
like Hebrew music. And then I would listen to a lot of classical music because I grew up doing ballet. I
hmm,
used to go to Barnes and Nobles to do my homework, and the manager at the time only played classical music there. So, like, I just love, like, Vivaldi or Chopin or like any of the classical artists. And then I also grew up loving like in my mind this was like my workaround. I would listen to like jazz, big
hmm,
band swing like Frank Sinatra, Ella
yeah,
Fitzgerald. So it's like funny because I can relate to people generations older than me who
Right.
went, and they're like, wow, you've got such great taste in music. I'm like, that's because I grew up on the same movies you did, because that's
Yeah.
all I watched. So, like, that was my thing. Or I would also, although I did go through when I was in fourth grade, like, loving, absolutely loving Hillary Duff
Oh my God.
and like pop and Hannah Montana. So, like, anything that's like more unique, I guess I would say, or rock or heavy metal, like very unfamiliar.
So,
I
okay.
also suck at names. So, like, for
I
example,
I
if you
can
play a song,
yeah, I can almost okay. Mr. Brightside. You're familiar with that song? It's
the
one of the
name sounds
okay.
familiar.
Well, that song is one one of the biggest songs of all time.
Okay.
Killers are one of the biggest bands on the planet, probably.
Okay.
So yeah, take a listen. They're both great. But I
We're from like opposite sides of the
yeah,
music
I
thing because
mean,
you like
I
have so much
that's
knowledge, and I'm just like, my friends like, make fun of me, but at the same time, they're also like in a way jealous
yeah.
because when they introduce me to different artists or different songs, they're like, I wish I could experience this for the first time
I yeah,
all over
I
again.
yeah, well, you're if you
So
take a listen to them, you'll be very lucky.
I'll do it after this.
But I feel like you'll hear at least one or two that you've heard before,
Right.
probably. Um,
Yeah, at this point, I'm integrated enough into
yeah,
society that I probably have.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I just remember growing up and being they really took off my like senior year of high school. So around that time, I was really listening to them and I introduced my dad to them, who, like I said, was mostly like a classic rock guy. Like pretty much every time I saw him listening to music, he was listening to like Pink Floyd or Rolling Stones or any of those type of bands. And I played them for him and he was like, "Oh my God, like these guys are great. I love this." And so like I remember they put out their second like full album, major album, and like the day it came out, I like got it and went over to my dad's house and we just like sat there and listened to it and he's like, "This is great." So now I have those memories of like every time I hear certain songs of theirs that I knew for sure that he liked, it just like makes me think of my dad. We have it's just like this great moment. And like there
Yeah.
always seemed to be some connection with them where like if I was in like, I don't know, something was going on, it'd be like, oh, and the Killers have a new album coming out. Perfect. Like this will just take me
Wow.
out of that mode of
That's so
whatever I'm feeling at.
serendipitous.
Yeah. So, it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
Can just connect, like I said, just connects you with certain things and it's just this wonderful, wonderful world of art and uh, presentation that people put out when they're performing it live, and to get to connect it with being, people that are from St. Louis, where I've lived, my whole life pretty much, and love this city, and always also kind of wanted. I always had this thing in the back of my mind where I was always thinking, at some point, what can I do to really help do something for St. Louis? What's something I can do to really showcase how great a city this actually is? Because I feel like we've gotten a bad rap over the last decade or so, with
For sure.
unfortunately landing
Especially with
on,
crime.
yeah,
Yeah, which is usually more East St. Louis than like St. Louis as a whole. So it's like explaining to people who are not from St. Louis that there's
yeah,
Webster Groves and there's Tower Groves and then there's also like Chesterfield and U City and like there's so many neighborhoods
right.
other than East St. Louis where most St. Louisians do not choose to go to.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's just, there's so many different parts of St. Louis where, St. Louis proper is the downtown area primarily, but there's so many different portions of it and counties of it where it stretches so far out that it
Hmm.
all just gets lumped together and it makes it look worse than it is. But I mean,
Right.
I've always loved St. Louis. Regardless of if I've run into some of these unfortunate situations and issues that the city has or not, like there's never been a part of me it's like I got to get out of this town. I don't know what it is, but
Are you
St.
born
Louis
and
is
raised?
yes, I was born in St. Louis. We
Hmm.
moved for a couple of years when I was younger, when my mom got a job at a nursing school in New Mexico,
Oh, cool.
which is a little different than St.
A
Louis.
little.
Um, but lived there when I was younger and then came back and I've just been here.
There's something about St. Louis, it's kind of hard to explain. I think people usually have a very love it or hate it kind of relationship
Yeah.
with St. Louis.
It's either you stay here your entire life or you
Mhm.
get out of here like as soon as you're out of high
And
school.
never look back.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is when people move here who've never lived here
Hmm.
and that experience. Either they're here and they're like, no,
Yeah.
or they move here and they're like, oh, I see. There's
Yeah.
something very special
And
here.
that's actually been a very fun part of this whole social media world that we're now like just tied into. Because I was never
Yeah,
really like a social media person. Didn't have TikTok. I had Instagram and I'd post something on there a few times a year maybe. But now running this page and all this stuff, you have to use that
you
stuff
have to.
for promotion.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, now I see these videos where it's like people, it's mostly on TikTok where these people post these videos and go, "Hey, my name's so and so, and I'm about to move to St. Louis for a job," or "I just moved to St. Louis for whatever reason. Tell me what's going on. What should I see?" And I just love, like, every time I see one of those videos, I type in the comments and go, "Hey, like, follow our page. If you're into music, there's a
Hmm.
lot of great bands here. There's a lot of great shows going on. Follow us and, see what's going on." And, a lot of times those people respond and they start following the page and
That's
just
awesome.
it's like a cool, we're like a musical ambassador to
Yeah.
both people that live here and people that are new citizens
Well,
of the
there's
city.
two main issues that I think people have in St. Louis, which is if you're from St. Louis, you tend to have your group, your small social
Hmm.
circle. But then life tends to happen and you either people get married, they get busy, and you want to expand your social circles.
Yeah,
And I think as adults, especially if you're working in a corporate environment, there's not many new people that are coming across.
right.
And you're not necessarily going to want to chill with your coworkers, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do we meet people as adults? I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. And then on the opposite extreme, you have new people moving to St. Louis who definitely don't know anyone, and everyone's already in their cliques and their niches and their, friends from like middle school.
Right.
So it's like, how do you connect with people? And yet we get so many new people moving to St. Louis all the time.
Mhm.
So music for both problems is really an awesome solution because like-minded people listen usually to that kind of music. So you can make those connections and build that community.
Yeah, and you know, for the majority of what I've seen, everybody that's at these shows is very nice and very open to, you see people just starting up a conversation in
Hmm.
between bands or before the show, after the show. So yeah, if you're new to St. Louis or even if you're from St. Louis and you're kind of at that point where you're getting older and it's the opportunities to be with your core group of friends, or if you're just feeling like you need new friends in general, is starting to like, go away, you can go to these shows and just, I don't know, bump into somebody and go, "Hey, like, have you seen these guys before? Okay, cool. Like, tell me about them." Or, "I liked those guys. You've seen them before? Okay, is there any other bands that are, kind of like this?" And these people are, they'll take you under their wing and go, "Yeah, no, no, no. Listen to this band. Listen to this band. These people are playing a show next week here. These people are playing next month at this place. You should come. Like, let me get your information." It's such a great community for the
Yeah,
local scene that it's just like people really want to support it and they really want to with themselves try to promote a band that they like just by talking to somebody else and telling them to go see them. And the amount of conversations I hear either after the show or in between the bands where people are going, "Oh yeah, have you seen so and so? Oh man, yeah, like they're having a show next week. Come, like you should check them out or go stream them. They're all
it's
on
so true.
all the different streaming things. Like go check them out." It's such a tight-knit community of people that want to support the bands that are local that they like, that it's just, yeah, it's a great place to go out and just experience, a community that you can get involved with. And even if you're just messaging somebody and going to meet up with them at a show, you don't have to be pressured into like going out and doing all this other stuff. Just, "Hey, oh, you're going to the show next week? Cool. I'll see you there." And then you run into them and there you go. Now you have your show friends. So
Yeah,
it's really, yeah, it's a great opportunity for people to just experience so many different things in one space.
totally. You know what I was thinking? Like, why is it? We all know that like if you have your playlist and music is like great, but like there's something about live music that literally just gives me chills and
Yeah.
sometimes like makes me like super emotional and teary-eyed. in a way that like just listening to it on my phone just simply doesn't do. I just I'm so curious to know like what is it about live music that just hits different?
I think, and especially if you're going to these local shows that are in the smaller venues, I think just a part of it is most of the time it's not going to be the same way it is in the recording because
Right.
that's mixed and mastered and it's got this crisp clean sound, and then when you're at an actual show it's just so raw.
The
And
raw part.
you can these small venues, you can feel the vibration of the speakers.
Mm.
It's the energy of the rest of the people there. It's instead of just you're sitting at your desk doing work maybe and listening to music, or you're in the kitchen making dinner and you put something on, it's
Yeah.
completely different than being there and it's happening and you're seeing it come together. You're seeing the artist actually put out what you've been listening to,
Yeah.
and now you're getting their energy, you're getting the crowd's energy, you're getting your energy, and it's this big ball of energies that just comes together. And it's just, yeah, it's an amazing experience.
It
It's
is.
so different
Yeah.
to just listen to something on your own as opposed to you're in this big group of people. And
It's a soul
it
experience
is,
for
yeah. And
sure.
and especially there's a song that you love of a certain band, getting to see that live and shout out the words to it while there's other people doing that, whether it's a local St. Louis band playing for 30, 40, 50 people in a small club, or even when you go see the bigger shows for the touring acts, and now you're around thousands of people and your song comes on and you just get to scream it out and be involved with all these people. It's such an amazing mix of energies from so many different directions that come from seeing a live show, where it's really just, and that's the thing that we're trying to tell people and promote is, if you find a band locally, not only do you get to see them and experience this new kind of music, but a lot of these bands are playing at least once a month, at the most like every couple months. The shows are between, sometimes you can find them somewhere and they're doing it for free. The most you're probably spending like 20 something bucks, as
Which is
opposed to,
nothing.
well, I mean, yeah, considering how much the, national touring acts are charging for
Oh
not only
yeah.
their tickets, but then Ticketmaster fees and all this
Hmm.
other stuff. Or if it sells out and then you try to find it on a secondary website, how much the people are jacking up the prices on those, just to be able to go out and, you go to somewhere, spend 10 bucks and see a band you really enjoy, and you get that hour or so of just being able to have a good time. It's an incredible experience and it's so
Yeah.
worth it.
So you were talking a little earlier about like performance
Mhm.
and how, I mean, obviously, sometimes you go to a local artist and the talent in the performance just isn't there.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is. So, what in your mind would create a good performance?
There's just certain bands or performers that know, there's a big difference when you see a live show. There's an artist that goes out and plays their music, and then there's an artist that goes out and puts on a show and gives you, because you'll go see a band where the lead singer will just stand in front of the microphone the whole time and either play their instrument, or if they don't play an instrument, they'll just stand there and sing their songs, and the band will play, and that's kind of the whole show. And then you'll see artists that are out there and they're moving all over the place. They're looking directly at the people in the audience. They're interacting with, I mean, especially with these local shows, there's some, I mean, I was at a show a couple weeks ago, and the energy was high. Everybody was very excited. It was a packed venue where I was at Platypus in the Grove. I think the capacity there is about a little over 100 people, and like the room was full. And there was a guy that was very, very, very into the fact that he was there and that he was seeing this show. And I mean, he's like literally at certain points going up to on the area where the band's performing and like singing the songs into the microphone while they're singing.
What?
And they're just kind of like, okay, sure, man. Like, as long as you don't knock our stuff over, I guess we're fine with it. And then, like, the lead singer's going into the crowd with a microphone and in the middle of all these people singing his song and playing
So
guitar. And,
cool.
it's just,
Interactive.
yeah. So when you're able to connect with the audience and do more than just stand there, I mean, and some people that's your vibe and that's the way you do it, and that's fine. But when you can just really do something during your show that people walk away and then you go like, I have to see them the next time.
Yeah,
Because
that's
some,
special.
yeah, well, I mean, I've gone and seen artists where I really enjoyed their music, and then I go see them live, and after the show, I'm like, or I go, okay, like I don't like, yeah, it was great, like I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then there's bands or performers you go see, and after the show, you're just like, put an alert on my phone. Like I need the announcement next time they're touring. Like I need to know when they're coming to St. Louis. And if they're not coming to St. Louis, I need to find out when they're playing the next closest city to me. Or, these bands in St. Louis that I didn't know at all before. I go see them and I'm like, okay, like let me follow them on Instagram or whatever. And the next time they say they're performing somewhere, like I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
There's just a difference in what you feel a live performance should be like as opposed to what another person thinks a live performance should be like. And it just completely changes the dynamic of how you feel about a certain band, or even if their music's like, it's fine, but it's like the show is so good. Then that's like the cherry on top. Or even if you do enjoy their music a lot and then you go see their live show and you're just like, whoa, that was incredible. That's, you
That's what
know,
sets it apart.
hmm
So is that hard in a sense because like the scene, you're promoting everyone.
right,
It's not necessarily your like Josh's personal preferences.
right.
You're just serving the community at large.
Yeah.
Is that hard sometimes if maybe there's like a band or like an artist that maybe isn't your vibe or you wouldn't personally recommend?
Um, No, because and just really because it's like I said, the main goal here is to promote the people are performing and give people the opportunity to go and see these bands and make a decision for who they want to see on their own. Now, if I see a band or an artist of whatever kind of music is out there that wants us to, promote their stuff, and I either hear their music ahead of time or they just so happen to be at a show that we go to cover, um, I'll still, whether I like them in the show or not, like I can still promote them. We can still share their stuff. Will I go see them every time? Maybe, maybe not. But that's also the beauty part of what we've done and what I've learned so far going to see these shows is there really isn't anybody I've gone and seen and been like, this is a dud. This
Well,
is
that's
not
good.
great. This is just very whatever. And I think what sets them apart from some of the major acts that are touring around is they're at this point where they're trying to get to that point, so they're gonna come out and they're gonna put everything they can into it. They're gonna give you a great show. They're gonna give you all the energy they have to make you go, okay, I want to see this person or this band or whoever it is again.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part about going to see local independent artists is they are really just wanting to, and also they want to come up with something that's going to set them apart from a band that plays similar music or another band that's on the bill with them. They don't want to come out and put on the same performance that the last band just put, or the band that's about to come on just is about to put on.
Right.
They want to have their thing that gets you to be a fan of them, and you're going to go see them at the next show. So realistically, there's nobody that's really contacted us to promote them or something that we've put out there and then gone and seen and just been like, mm, sure, like whatever. It's all just been like, wow, like this is great. So it's just like getting all these new artists that are like such fans of now. And some more than others, but that has also a lot to do with personal relationships because some bands will just go, hey, can you share this? Cool, great. And then some bands or performers will go see and they'll make a point to find me or find Amber, who helps out with everything that we do. Um, like I'll go to a show and just kind of be standing around and I'll feel somebody tap me on the shoulder or see me from across the room and give me a wave and be like, I'll be right back. And come over and be like, hey man, like thanks for coming out, da da da.
That's so great.
And so, now you get the combination of enjoying the music as also enjoying the people. And that's another thing. Also, haven't met anybody that was a performer that we've talked to that wasn't anything but gracious and appreciative when they've come and talked to us. And, not everybody's thing is to memorize your face from seeing it on the social media pages and then come find you. But you can tell some take the time to like know who you are and come see you, and it's just a really cool experience to be walking around in the crowd before these people come on and they find you and come talk and go like, oh yeah man, like stoked you came out, so happy that you are here, and we hope you enjoy the show, da da da, all that stuff. It's a really cool combination of things, how it all comes together, and then you get to see a great performance on top of that.
Yeah.
Life is fast, but every now and then you deserve a pause, a moment that's just for you. At Le Café, we believe that each cup of coffee should taste like a little bit of luxury. Handcrafted and locally roasted here in St. Louis, each of our single origin beans are carefully selected to give you the most unique and smoothest experience. Whether you like a light, medium, or dark roast, we got you. For those busy mornings, or for my coffee lovers who prefer efficiency, we also have K-Cups. So go ahead and pour yourself a cup that tastes like self-care. Visit www.lecafe.us to bring the cafe experience home. Le Café, you deserve it.
Wait, so I want to talk more about your podcast too,
Hmm.
because I knew that you were doing everything with the music, promoting bands, promoting live shows, but I wasn't aware about the podcast until like
Yeah.
recently. So tell me a little bit more about what you do with your podcast and what the goal with that is.
So, yeah, the podcast is just, it's really an opportunity for the bands to come out or whoever it is we talk to come out and just talk about, you know, how did we get together? How did we get started? What is our goal here? What are we trying to do? And just to get to learn, kind of give the bands, besides just their music, give them a personality.
Yeah,
Get to know the people in the bands, because some of these people are just like, they're
that's,
so fun to be around.
and there's a story.
Uh-huh.
If you get to the point where you have a band, I mean, there's so much behind that. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's interesting to, besides the music side of it, just to get to know them on a personal level and hear some things. Like the first episode we did with Damon, he he's a local hip hop artist, but also, I mean, he's worked with big time producers and he's done stuff nationally, and he's got music that's been on TV shows. He's got music that's been in commercials. He's done all these things. And then also like hearing his life story about where he was earlier in his career and the things he was going through and the way he's turned things around on a personal level. And now just, the way that's helped him in his career going forward is just like, wow, that's crazy. Like you're not just this incredible artist, you have this incredible story. And so we always try to, besides just asking about the music and okay, so how'd you guys get together, and now what's your next project, we like to try to get some sort of personal touch to it, to kind of be like, just show people, hey, like this didn't just like start out of nowhere. These people didn't just meet one day and go, hey, should we start this band? Cool. Or hey, should I start, being a rapper? Sure. And now all of a sudden here I am and everything's working out great. Like there's a lot involved in it. And also
Yeah.
we got to talk to Steve Ewing, who is St. Louis is, a legend because he was in a band, The Urge, that did very well. And he's been around forever and he has his solo projects, and The Urge still plays shows, and he's a local hot dog mogul, and it's all these things. So it's fun getting to talk to somebody like that, because as much as we're promoting the indie local bands and stuff, it's cool to talk to somebody that's seen both sides of it. They've seen the local side of things, and they've seen the national side of things with,
Yeah.
being on a major label and touring around with major acts. I mean, like they used to tour around with like 311 and all these other bands that were in that genre of music that they were kind of included in at the time. And just, kind of get an idea from him, okay, so why is St. Louis not, a place that people come and look for great music considering how much we have? And
What was
just
his thoughts on that?
mainly it's just our where we're located. There's just no major labels that are really in the Midwest, um, which makes it tough because people, every story you've pretty much ever heard of people that have made it big from a small town, it's because they went to New York, they went to LA, they went to Nashville, they went to these places that are kind of known for being these big music cities and entertainment cities. And St. Louis just hasn't had that type of representation. There isn't really anywhere close enough where label executives, will just go, "Hey, like let's pop into St. Louis. Like there's this band that I've kind of heard about, or there's this performer that I've kind of heard about. Let's go check them out." And then it's not easy for a band from St. Louis to go, "Hey, let's book some shows in New York. Let's book some shows." Because besides just getting to these cities, then you have to figure out a way to make sure you get in front of the right audience. You have to get in front of the right people that can either get your music to these people or just so happen to be from these labels or whatever and be at the show. It's not easy when you're primarily just playing in St. Louis. Luckily, we're in a day and age where it's much easier to get your music on online,
Right.
which gives you the opportunity to kind of
Social
be
media
heard
has
wherever.
changed the game.
Yeah, but still in that you have to get the right people to see it, get the right people
Mm-hmm.
to share it, get the right
Mm-hmm.
people to randomly stumble across it. So that's a big part of what we've been trying to do is just if we can get it out there and then just figure out a way to grow this platform to where maybe it will randomly end up on somebody's page, or maybe somebody from St. Louis shares it and they've got a friend that lives in this city and they see it and then they go, "Oh, these who is this? They're really good. I'll share it." And then maybe there are people that live out in there will see it and listen to it. But yeah, primarily right now the biggest thing is there's just not a centralized enough label or people that work in that industry that can get them in front of the right people to really put them into like a major national situation.
Right. Would it make sense for there to even be a label in St. Louis?
I mean, I think absolutely, because St. Louis is just so centralized in terms of major cities you can get
It's
to in a
true.
short amount of time.
Yeah.
Driving wise, like we're about between 4 and 5 hours from like Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis, Memphis, Nashville. Um, I mean, those are the biggest cities I can think of off the top of my head. But I mean,
Even like Ohio,
there's
like
more.
Columbus and
Yeah,
Cleveland's not
Ohio's.
that far.
Yeah, I mean, all those are less than
And
12
if
hours
like
away.
in Louisville and like and
Yeah,
if Nashville could make it big and they're only like what 4 or 5 hours away from
yeah,
us, like why couldn't St. Louis?
yeah. And I'll tell you, there's also, I think, what these cities have that we don't at the moment are like we used to have Washington Avenue downtown, and it was vibrant, and there was stuff going on all the time, and that's kind of died out a lot since COVID and since like Ballpark Village opened up downstairs or downtown, and I know that kind of killed off a lot of places downtown.
Did it really?
Yeah, there was a lot of bars and venues that closed within like a year or two after
That's so
that opened up because a
sad.
lot of people instead like you'd go to a ball game and then you'd go out in downtown, and now it's like you go to a ball game and they go across the street, to
Interesting.
Ballpark Village.
Well,
But
what's interesting is Ballpark Village isn't even doing that well anymore
right,
because the Cardinals aren't doing that well.
right,
So no one's going downtown anymore.
exactly. So that's where we try to come in. Because I went to Nashville couple months ago, some friends of mine, we just decided like let's let's go see a football game. So we went down to Nashville to see a football game, but we went the night before and we went and just kind of like, hung out on the strip there in Nashville. And I mean, it's literally you can't walk more than 5 feet without seeing another place that has some music going. So when you've got music just all and in Nashville they do it all day. You can go into a bar or a restaurant somewhere at 11 o'clock in the morning,
Oh,
3 o'clock
that's
in the
so
afternoon,
cool.
7 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock, midnight, and somebody's going to be playing music.
Mm,
That's another thing we don't necessarily have in St. Louis. We
yeah.
don't have a constant stream of music that's just like you can just know you can go to a certain part of town and there will be music going while you're down there.
I used to work Park Avenue downtown,
Hmm.
and it was so funny because so many people come through St. Louis for so many reasons,
Hmm.
conferences, just traveling, businesses, all kinds of thing. A lot of people come here also for music and
Hmm.
like, or just to see the baseball stadium.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that like people from out of town were so confused by our downtown.
Yeah.
They're like, is it always like this? Like, why is it so dead? And
Yeah.
also, it's so beautiful architecturally. Like, why is no one doing anything with it? Why are there so many abandoned buildings?
Yeah. That has become, I mean, yeah, it's become a real issue. And it's something that hopefully people will take over these buildings and get something going, get back going downtown. But I don't know. At the moment, we're kind of in a stretch here in St. Louis where downtown is just really struggling to find its identity, I think. It's kind
Yeah,
of like there's either sports going on or there's nothing really happening.
no, it's
Um,
true.
there's events, here and there downtown, but it's been a while since we've had just like a constant flow and a constant, just like, you can go downtown and go somewhere and do something and have a good time.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of it, in terms of, I think, what might make somebody that would be discovering new artists maybe not be interested in coming to St. Louis. Because, like I said, you go to Nashville, it's music nonstop. I'm not exactly sure what the scenes are like in Chicago and Indiana, like all these other cities, but at least I mean, even, you go, Tennessee as a whole is pretty interesting because you've got the main strip on in Nashville, and then if you go to Memphis, they've got Beale Street, they've got music going on all the time there. So they've at least got their zones where you can go to.
Right.
Once again, St. Louis, downtown, there's a couple venues that have music here and there, but there's not enough of a constant stream and a constant flow where you just know there's going to be some sort of entertainment going on
So
all
it's
the
really
time.
helpful that you do what you do then, because since music is so like all over the place in St. Louis,
Yeah.
it's not that people don't want to, and it's not that we don't, like I'm saying they don't want to experience and go to these events. And it's not that there isn't the talent here that is performing those events. It's just this disconnect of where do we go to hear them?
Yeah.
Because there isn't, it's not clear.
Yeah, and for some venues, it's just not plausible to have music every night because costs and hoping that people are going to come in. And if depending on what the situation is with how the bands are getting paid and everything, some nights you might take a loss where I've gone to shows where the bands are very good and there's only like 10 to 20 something people there. And these are shows that are on the weekends. So it's also I hate to call out the people of St. Louis, but it's also kind of just like a people deciding they're going to go see these bands and go out and support the local artists themselves type of things where there's some bands and some shows at places on nights where you'll go and it'll be pretty full and then there's other shows you go to in certain places where like I said there's a dozen or two or a couple dozen people there and their energy is just kind of they're standing there doing a lot of nodding their heads and
Yeah.
okay, cool. Um,
St. Louis is very suburban.
it is.
So it's like, I think that kind of goes back to the earlier conversation of people living here their whole lives or moving back here to raise a family.
Hmm.
So it's like, I think there isn't necessarily that same like city life where people are going out at night. It's
Yeah,
like people come home and they go home to their families a lot.
yeah. Yeah, and it's just, if the opportunities are there, it's mostly on the weekends, but there are a lot of venues that they have shows throughout the week. And, if you've got the time and the energy to get out of your house and go see music, it's happening all the time. So at some point, if we can just get more people to just want to see it and want to be into, I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world right now. Go
Yeah,
see these shows as much as you can. Like I said, most of them are like $10.
right.
If you're going to spend your money on something these days, and I know money's tight for a lot of people, but there's other things that you're spending your money on.
You will
You
always find something to spend your money on.
Right. So why not go spend $10 and see, and that'll usually get you to see three or four bands in a night. That's another thing. You get to see so much music for what you're paying at these venues. It's not like going and seeing one person or two people. You're seeing an entire night of music. And, once again, you can find a new band that you love. I mean, I drive around now, or when I'm at home working on getting my posts and stuff ready for the week or whatever it is we're trying to promote. Like, a lot of times, if I'm listening to music, I've got one of these local artists on because I've really developed an appreciation for their music. And I'll walk around during the day and I've got their song in my head and I'm singing it to myself. It's just, there's really so much talent here. And if whatever genre of music you're into, you can find someone locally. And, as opposed to waiting for your favorite major act to maybe tour through St. Louis, if we're
Right.
lucky enough to actually get them on a tour. And even with those, they're happening, at best once a year, maybe you'll get to
Mm-hmm.
see them, or once every couple years, or it's however many years in between when they're going to tour. Like I said, for the amount you'd pay to see one of those bands once, you can see your new favorite local band over and over and over and over. And you get to be right up there. You don't have to worry about, how close can I get for paying for this ticket. It's They're all pretty much general admission. You get there, you can stand right in front of the stage if you want. If you want to hang back by the back of the venue, you can do that. But it's a great musical experience where you get to be right up close with this new band that you suddenly have learned about, and now you're really into their stuff, and now you can go home and stream their music, or you can buy they'll sell vinyl sometime if you're into that. You can buy that,
Yeah,
take it home and listen to it.
that's so cool.
It's just there's so many ways to take in this local music, and so yeah, we just want more people to do that.
Right. I heard one of my previous guests said a great quote, which was, everyone wants to be a part of a village,
Hmm.
but not everyone wants to be a villager,
Yeah,
which basically comes down to we all want community. We all want to feel supported. We all want to feel loved. We all want to have that connection,
yeah,
but not everyone's willing to go out of their own way
right,
to be a community member, which means showing up, which
yeah.
means supporting, which means putting yourself out there. So, on behalf of St. Louis, thank you
Yeah,
for what you're
hey,
doing.
I'm very much, I do enjoy like going out and seeing these people, but also in certain situations, I very much am like a kind of introverted, like, okay, I'm out here by myself at this show, but tonight I've decided I want to just like be by myself. And if that's the type of personality you have, you're more than fine at these shows. You're not, if you don't want to talk to anybody, if you just want to go and enjoy some music, just find your spot in the crowd and
Totally.
you can do that. You can hang back if it becomes too overwhelming. It's not like at a major venue where you have to go through this big trek to get some alone, personal space. You can pop right out of there and go stand outside or go stand in one of the areas of the venue where there's not a lot of people. Or you can, if you want to, like I said, you can go there and just start talking to people and have a great time. So,
There's a lot of flexibility there.
yeah. And
It's
once,
funny how you describe yourself as introverted, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met on my entrepreneurship journey, a lot of us would want to be more introverted, but we don't have the luxury.
yeah,
Because if you have this passion and this vision for like a product or a business and it's not in existence,
yeah.
you feel like, as Zig Ziglar says, this like moral obligation So you have to put yourself out there.
So yeah, and it's very on and off for me because I genuinely I'm so apparently like within the last year they've developed this new term. I believe it's pronounced it's a outrovert,
Outrovert.
which is a mix of you're an introverted person, but once you are extroverted and out there with people, you
Mm,
kind of come alive.
yeah.
And that's very much me when I'm in a situation where I have to do something alone, pretty much. It's just the thought of it is like, oh, okay, like I gotta go here and I'm just gonna be around these people and I kind of don't want to be around people. And then you get there and it's just like, hey, what's happening, everyone? Like, and
Yeah.
even just like even doing the podcast, it's very much a situation where leading up to it, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I have to talk to people and like the thought of it always gets me. And then as soon as the moment happens where I have to start doing it, everything turns,
It gets
everything
easier.
changes.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, it's very interesting dealing with that.
Yeah.
And, there's also a lot of times where, I know I'm going to go somewhere and I'll see people I know and I can talk to them and it'll be easy. Um, but yeah,
But
just,
that thought is still there.
yeah.
It's gotten easier for me because I relate so much to what you're saying, and that's like so powerful. But it's like there's so many times where whether it's a podcast, even though
Mm,
I've been doing this for a minute,
yeah.
or it's like a networking event or a coffee event, whatever it is, where it's like I just want to stay at home in my
Mhm.
pajamas and read a book and
Yeah.
have a good cup of coffee. Like I don't want to people today.
Yeah.
But then, like, it's gotten easier to do it.
Mhm.
I was at an event the other day and someone asked me to do something. I'm like, ah, I feel shy. And they're like, you're shy? Yeah, I just don't have the luxury to be shy because I got
Yeah.
to do what I got to do. But if I had a choice,
Yeah.
I'd be chilling.
Well, and that was the thing when
Yeah.
I was working with the radio job before all this was, and a big thing that made me want to do this part was a lot of the job was being around people and being around people at events and all these things and having to interact with them. And I just remember going into it the entire time leading up till it actually all started. And a lot of times, honestly, while it was going on, I just was like, oh, okay, I hope nobody comes over here. I hope nobody cares about the fact that we're here. I don't want to talk to anybody, blah, blah, blah. And then they come over and you have to like kind of like turn on that, oh, hey, like, how's it going? Yeah, welcome. Yeah, oh, yeah, we're here from this radio station and we're doing da 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 da. And then as soon as they walk away, it's just like, oh, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
Regardless of how easy and how quick or how long they stuck around, it just was like, oh my God, I had to talk to somebody that I don't
Yeah.
know and I had to give them information and do this whole rap. Um, so yeah, it's very interesting how, and luckily, for me, that's always been something that's most of the time I can turn it on when I need to. But once again, like the thought of it going into it the whole time leading up is kind of just like, okay, best case scenario, nobody, everybody puts blinders on to the fact that I'm here and nobody needs to talk to me. But, going, like I said, going out to these shows, it's as much as that feeling is there, once you start meeting people and talking to people, it becomes you kind of just you very much just realize you're amongst people that are into the same thing as you. Obviously, every once in a while you'll run into somebody and kind of be like, all right, man, like let's calm down a little bit. Like maybe let me find somebody else to go talk to. But yeah, for the most part, everybody's very just like there to be a part of the same thing and talk about whatever all's going on and introduce you to new things. And everybody's very cool and just into the thought of people being together. And
Yeah.
it makes things a little easier.
For sure. For sure. And you're doing something that you love in the end of the day, even if there's elements of it
Right.
that aren't in
Totally.
your comfort zone.
Yeah. It makes things a lot easier to actually
Yeah.
enjoy
What you're
the thing
doing.
that's going on. Yeah.
Totally. So we're really close to approaching the 1 year anniversary of
Yeah.
the scene. It's February 28th.
Hmm.
And so, like, reflections for this past year, how do you feel as like a brand, but also on a personal level, how it's grown? And then also just dreams of where you want to take it in the next year.
Yeah. It's very interesting because the first thing we ever posted started in just as a complete failure because I remember The day I decided to launch the page, I recorded a video that was kind of just an explanation. Like, here's to everybody that's decided to follow us, here's a little bit of what you're gonna get from us. And I remember I was on my way to an all-day event that I had to work for the radio station. And so I was trying to just, as opposed to doing the smart move, which would have been to kind of figure out what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it, what all to include, record it, make sure it was where I wanted it to be, and then just have it ready to go when I decided to launch the page. I just was like, let me just record this video before I go in and I'll post it at a certain point because I had like a time that I wanted to get it up and I was like, this is how it's going to go. So I recorded the video, the introductory video. It was probably somewhere around like 45 seconds to a minute long. And I was like, okay, I feel good about that. But also, I kind of like, I'm also one of those people where I'll, in the middle of doing one of these videos where it's just me talking, I'm just like, oh my God, this is like taking too long or this is terrible. Let me restart.
We all do that. Yeah.
And so I finally get to a point where I feel like I'm fine with the video. But now I've also re-recorded it so many times that I'm like, oh shoot, okay, I gotta get in the car, I gotta get to work. When I get there, I'll post it before I get started. I get to work, I've got a few minutes, I go to rewatch the video one more time, or just rewatch it before I post it, and I realize that somehow accidentally I've hit the button to record it in the slow motion mode.
No.
So I'm watching it and it gets however many seconds into it, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey guys, like my name's Josh and this is the scene and here's what you can expect.
Oh
And
no.
I'm watching, I'm just like, ah! And now I'm getting on Google and now I'm on Google going, how do I take off the slow motion on a video? How do I remove this? How do I get it back to regular speed? And I can't figure it out. And I'm also like in this mix of I'm at work. I need to get to
Yeah.
what I'm doing, but also I have this idea where I've told myself I'm going to have this posted by this point in the day. So in that moment, I walk to a certain area where there's nothing going on around me. I re-record the video. I make sure to hit just regular video about 20 times before I record it. And then I just go, this is just going to have to be the video. And then go to the event, get everything set up. I step aside while nobody's really paying attention. Um, and I type out whatever I want to say about the post. I watch it one more time to make sure it's in full regular speed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I post it. And
Yeah.
then
That was the
that was
beginning.
the beginning. And so yeah, and then the first time I re-recorded an episode of the podcast. I recorded on the camera. I had it in the 4K video setting, loaded it up to my computer to edit it. Didn't realize that that doesn't format as well on a computer. So the file just grew and grew and grew, hundreds of gigabytes worth of video. I mean, because the first one we did, I was around an hour long because
Right.
I there was just so much good stuff going on. I didn't want to like interrupt the conversation. And it was our first episode, so I just was like, let's just have a big long good first episode. And then I had to call tech support and go, why is my computer blowing up? Why is this everything about to shut down? And they're like, go get a hard drive immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do that. And then I had to remember every time, like, let's record. And so just, it's been
The journey.
there, yeah, not to say it's been a completely smooth process the entire time.
It never is.
A lot of learning, a lot of growing pains, a lot of things to just kind of see what works and what doesn't, which really doesn't work.
Yeah.
Um, but just, and, learning along the way. And I told myself if in the first like few months, 6 months or so, we had a couple hundred followers, I would feel like really good about the process and how we were expanding. And I think like within the first 3 or 4 weeks, we had like 200 followers. It was just
It's incredible.
a lot of artists reaching out, a lot of artists following us, a lot of people being like, "This is great. Like we need someone. Nobody else is doing this." Um, I was somehow able to book us media access to a music festival in Memphis. That was like 2 months into the page being a thing. I talked to a producer that we got to interview. His name's Boo Mitchell. He's like a legendary music producer. He's worked with some of the biggest acts in the world, owns a studio down in Memphis. And I was talking to him about this, about just like how this all got started. And I was like, yeah, man, there's just like not a lot of people kind of doing this. And he looked at me, he's like, dude, there's nobody doing this. Like, you are doing something that's really like, if you can just keep doing what you're doing, like, this has like I can see a lot of potential in what you're doing
Super
here.
validating.
So, yeah, getting to hear from somebody who's, I mean, this is a man that has Grammys sitting on his wherever he's chose to put them in his house.
Right.
This is a man that like personally knows like Bruno Mars.
Right.
So,
It's
like,
not just like your friends
right, yeah.
being like, you're
Yeah,
awesome.
this wasn't me like talking to a person that was at the festival and then being like, "What do you do?"
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so that was great. And then just along the way, I was one of my biggest regrets was one of the first shows we were at. I had this moment. There was a band that was going to do a thing where they had a guy that had like a Halloween costume on, and it was kind of like the like poop emoji,
Mm-hmm.
and he was gonna go from this door that was right outside where they were performing, and he was gonna run inside and like get in the crowd, and it was gonna be a big thing that the band had set up. And so I was like, "Hey man, like before you do this, like let's do a video, like we'll all follow you in."
Yeah.
And he had this great line that, due to words he said in it, I'm not gonna repeat on here, but it was a
Okay.
great line.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, you could,
and
but
well, can we curse on
you can
this?
curse on
Okay.
this. Yeah.
So he's dressed in this emoji outfit, and I just go, all right, man, just like say something, and then I'm gonna follow you in, and like he's gonna go in the crowd, and it's gonna be this whole thing, and it's gonna look great. And so he looks at me, and he's like, I might be a piece of shit, but I'm the shit because he's in the
That's
poop costume.
hilarious.
And then he walks in, he jumps in the middle of the crowd, and everybody's swarming him. It's this great thing. uh in that moment of like, let's knock this out real quick before it happens, didn't realize that I had the little extension piece plugged into my phone for the microphones, but did not actually have the microphone out. It was in the case. So that entire moment was recorded with no sound.
No,
um
I've done that. It
and I
sucks.
was I was on the verge of tears. I was like,
Yeah.
at the very least, like, it's a great moment I could post. I was like, okay, well, I have the video, so now I'll throw it into a video where we just have it's like cut up clips, and it's kind of like a
Like
montage of things that
B-roll or
happen, and we'll put
whatever.
video over it. And but man, that was
Uh,
such a moment. But so yeah, so these are just things that as you grow, and I mean now we've got, I think we're nearing like 1,300 followers, which in my mind is like mind blowing. I've never had any of my socials
oh, I
around
think
that.
that's huge, especially for a brand that you're starting from scratch, especially as someone who's not into social media. Like,
Yeah,
that's huge.
having no real idea of what actually to do and not really like,
It's not easy. Like, my podcast has been around for a little over 2.5 years, and I'm just almost brushing 700 followers.
yeah,
So it's huge that you got over like 1,000, let alone that you're almost at 1,300. And it's
yeah.
just gonna grow the
I
more you do
remember
it.
I remember as we were getting towards 1,000, I was like, this is insane.
The first 1,000 is so hard.
Oh yeah.
It is so hard.
Yeah, I think.
I get weird, like competitive mindsets with my followers where it's like when I'm like at, let's say, like 692, I'm
Mhm.
like, come on, 700,
Oh
let's
no, yeah.
go.
Every time it gets into that
Like you're
that second
almost there.
50 of 100, I'm like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
come on, like just let's
Mm-hmm.
see a way. And it's interesting because sometimes we'll do things and we'd get these waves of followers where
Right?
all of a sudden we'd get 30, 50 something followers in a span of like a few days to a week. And then
Yep.
you go these stretches where you maybe you get like one a day or
Hmm.
one every couple days, and it's just like, okay, come on, everybody, get
It's
with it.
hard to find like the rhyme and reason behind it sometimes, you
Yeah,
know? And like, yeah, I mean, I think it's probably true, like certain artists where it's like maybe you collab with them where you would assume that based on their following, you would get way more followers.
yeah.
And I have found that a lot of times it's usually when, for my podcast at least, when I have people on who've never been on a podcast, have barely any followers, those are the episodes that do the
Oh
best.
yeah, they have a very small, because there's people that,
Care about them.
right, and the people that are following them for a very specific reason. They
Right.
want to know what's going on with them, and they want to see
Yes.
them. And also just things I've learned from doing the podcast with some of these bands is we'll put a performer or band on and um, make a post about it, new episode up, blah, blah, blah. And you see all these other musicians from St. Louis and are just like, great people. Like, I can't wait to watch this episode. I can't wait to watch this. I can't wait
Oh,
to
I've
listen.
seen that.
And they're just like so excited. They're like, oh, this is very cool. All these people are so great. Like, I can't wait to see what they have to say.
Yep.
Um,
People are funny. Do you know someone once said, so I put the clips of my podcasts
mm,
on socials to get like intrigue people, do a little striptease so they'll come and like watch the full episodes.
yeah,
I've had multiple people recently be like, you have full format episodes? Your episodes are over an hour?
yeah,
Like, well, what did you think? Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, people are it's very the world of podcasts is just so crazy because you really either have to be very famous and have
Hmm.
access to a lot of,
Like if Kylie Jenner were to decide to do a
oh
podcast,
yeah,
it would
be
blow up.
number one podcast in the world in a week.
They say for an average podcast, the goal, from what I've heard from other podcasters, is to do a minimum of one episode per week.
Mm,
And it takes, with doing it once a week and having the social media and being up
mhm.
to date with all that, it takes about 4 to 5 years.
Yeah, it's it is what it is, and
Yeah,
you have to find people that decide that they want to hear from these people for extended periods of time,
for
they,
sure.
as opposed to just seeing a 30-second to a minute long clip that you post on socials to promote the episode. Then they have to go, okay, now am I
Am I
interested enough to
interested?
watch them
Yeah,
for 30 minutes to an hour, however long it is. So it's a difficult process, but it's fun.
it
And
is
like I said,
fun.
it helps build relationships with these performers, and you get to kind of get an idea of what they're all about, and um, it helps then, like I said, when you go to see them perform, and then you've built this relationship ahead of time, and they see you and they're like, oh my gosh, like so glad you came out and all this stuff, and
All goes back
it's
to
it's
community.
yeah, it's very fun. You develop these friendships with
Yeah.
people in a sense.
So I know initially I had asked you like your goal for next year, but I think I want to change my question up a little bit
Okay.
and be like 10 years from now. If everything goes well, like no scarcity mindset,
Yeah.
only abundance mindset here, like the dream of like what the scene through and four can be, what would that look like to you?
So I legitimately look, I listen to and see some of these bands, and I have like these visions in my head. And I legitimately, one that like regularly pops into my head. And at the moment, obviously, this is like a pipe dream. Like, this is the absolute best case scenario. But I have these visions where it's like I'm at like the Grammys, and I've got like a army of my local St. Louis artists that we've helped get discovered, get out there,
Mm,
get recognized for how good they are, and be able to show up to something like this and have multiple people nominated and have St. Louis really become, because, you know, eh, as much as these big cities all are just automatically known for being the place you need to go and all that. At one point, it wasn't exactly the case. And you
yeah.
hear these stories of like, in the 70s and the 80s, like in New York with like CBGBs, all these bands that at the time were very small, but they'd go to this little club and people would go there and they'd be like these people are incredible. And then the next thing you know, they're legendary bands that people still listen to today. And then the same thing in LA with all these smaller clubs where, you know, these like Guns N' Roses would go play, or like all these bands that would eventually turn out to be huge. So what do we have to do to get that going on with St. Louis? So the goal is long term, establish as much as we want to, as much as the goal is also to help other venues, like establish one where that's the place where the big bands are going to go to. That's where bands that are really going to have a chance in St. Louis are going to be playing at. You know, every time you go there, you're going to see an amazing show. And then being able to find, because even venues that used to be in St. Louis, like there used to be Mississippi Nights, there used to be the Creepy Crawl, and these are places where these bands that were on the rise would stop in St. Louis. And Mississippi Nights, I think, had a capacity of around 1,000 people. The Creepy Crawl had a capacity of like a couple hundred, I think, and like Fall Out Boy played there, White Stripes played there, and then they became huge. Mississippi Nights had like, I think, like, I don't know, just name any band in like the 90s. There was a rock band that became really big. Most of them probably came and played at Mississippi Nights in front of like so many hundreds to like 1,000 people. So getting that set, getting that going, and then, you know, like I said, there's no centralized Midwest record labels out there. Maybe the Scene Records becomes a thing and we
Yeah.
can sign bands and find a way to promote them and get in touch with people that are either booking smaller bands or independent bands for tours, or these festivals that are popping up. New ones are popping up every year all over the country. Get some of the bands from St. Louis to pop up and play on those, and play, the earlier sets where it's the independent acts before the major bands come out. So grand scheme of things is just to really, if not be the forefront for St. Louis music, to be able to become more nationally recognized, at least for us to have some hand in getting these bands into the eyes and ears of people that can expand that more and get them out there more and get it to a point where people go like, oh, like St. Louis has this really amazing music scene. Like,
Yeah.
whether I'm a person that's looking to sign artists or put them in a show, or if I'm just a person that lives within however many hours of St. Louis and I have seen or heard music from this band, and like I want to drive into St. Louis for the weekend and go see them.
That's
That's
awesome.
that's the goal of, what I would like to do, and just help all these people out, because I mean they really do deserve to be recognized.
For
And the
sure.
music business is such a right place, right time type of
Hmm.
situation. Yeah, so
And inevitably, that would help St. Louis as a whole, because
oh yeah.
anything that's bringing people into our city would
Mhm.
help all kinds of businesses.
Yeah.
There would so much would change. So that's really cool. I hope it all works out.
You know what? I hope it all works out too.
But listen, all we can do is one step at a time.
We'll just
I'm
keep
very woo-woo.
slow rolling it out.
Yeah, I'm very woo-woo. I mean, listen, you're 1 year in almost, right?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
You had an idea and you're putting it out there.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing, honestly. And it's kind of like right place, right person for you too, like just connecting with the right people as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, they say lucky girl syndrome, but you're not a girl. So lucky guy syndrome, like it will happen because in the end of the day, like I'm really into like spirituality. And it's like one quote that I love is like, you will never have a desire for something if it wasn't meant to be part of your future.
Right.
And so the only thing that you really have to do is get rid of any limiting beliefs and doubts. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the right people, the right opportunities, the right places, it will all come together exactly when it's supposed to.
Yeah. And luckily, a big part of this is just how much people are appreciative of what we're doing, and how gracious people are with their time and
Hmm.
their availability, and
I'm
just
sure that fills
being,
your cup.
oh, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
just the fact that, I can message a band or somebody and go, hey, I'd like to have you on the podcast. Would you be interested in that?" And they're like, "Yeah, like let's do it as soon as possible. Like
Yeah,
just tell me when you can get me in there." And then talking to people at venues and they're just like, "Yeah, like let us know when you're thinking, who you're thinking of having and we'll set something up." So
it's sick.
really the more and more we can expand on that and just start to really lock down these relationships with people and just have them know what we're all about and what we're trying to do and want have them just want to be involved with us, then there's nowhere to go but up as of right
Yeah,
now.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.
I have this tradition
Okay.
at the end of every podcast episode.
Mm-hmm.
This whole podcast is based on this Hebrew quote, which is Eze Chacham Halamein Mikol Adam, which
Mm-hmm.
means one who is wise is one who learns from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And we have learned so much from you. I know we've only just brushed the surface,
Yeah.
but if you can just leave us with like your favorite life lesson or quote, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. um God, there's so many options out there. I guess just, I don't know, my favorite life in terms of life lesson is just, I don't know, just I think we're, like I said earlier, we're in a really weird place right now as a world.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think more people just need to understand that, and like a big part of the music thing and bringing people together is as different as we all can be, we're all the same in terms of we're all just people trying to live a life that we enjoy and as peaceful as we can on this planet. So just, just everybody, like, just my life lesson is just be cool. Just like be cool with everybody.
Yeah,
There's no, like, just when you get down, scratch the surface of everything, anything you have to like hate a person for no reason is just dumb. So just like everybody just enjoy life and the fact that you're here
yeah,
and do unto others as you would have others do unto you.
for sure.
That's all I can really say
Yeah.
because it's just
It's hard to hate up close.
mm-hmm.
And so I think like there are bad people in this world to their core, for sure. But I think I like to believe that most people are good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of hatred just comes from ignorance and lack of exposure to other people, other
Yeah.
cultures, other this,
And
everything.
also I think we're really at a point in time where we're realizing how much hatred is taught.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But like, it's much easier to teach that hatred when everyone's separated from each other. And so I think also what you're doing with music is bringing people together. And when we have these spaces where it's like, yeah, maybe there's stereotypes who show up at certain like events, but that doesn't mean that there isn't like someone who totally doesn't fit the norm of that genre
Yeah.
that shows up and you're like, wait a minute, we can just chill and enjoy and hang out
Yeah.
together and like yeah, there might be nuances and differences to us, but in the end of the day, I think most people are good and want to have family and want to have friends and want to make a
Yeah.
difference in this world and just be a good person.
Yeah.
Don't do harm unto
I
others.
mean, music at its core is for everyone.
Yeah,
So just go and have a good time and just stop
100%.
being mean to everybody.
Yeah. So when we know more details about where and when your anniversary is going to be. I'd love to share that on the podcast as well.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that this episode comes out the week of your anniversary just to celebrate and be just right on time for that
Yeah.
and help promote just that celebration. So, is there anything left that like my audience can do to help support you?
Just follow the page. Like I said, this a big part of this page was to make it kind of crowdsourced. So as much as people can interact, let us know. I mean, because it's hard finding, digging through all these different things and finding all these different shows that go on. So if anybody has anything where you're aware of a show that's going on and we haven't promoted it, let me know. Like I said, keep going to shows, taking video, share it with us so we can share it and get more eyes on more local people. And yeah, just be involved in what we're doing and see all the cool stuff that's coming up. And
Yeah,
we have a lot of ideas for this year, so this should be a lot of opportunity to see us and experience
it'll
new
be
things.
fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to share all the links in the bio where people can find you easily.
Yeah.
And yeah, just thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah,
So
for
glad we had
sure.
this connection. I'm excited about future collabs
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it'll be great. I mean, just personally, one of the main reasons why I also really wanted to connect with you is that for the future of Lake Cafe, I want to have music as a part of
Yeah.
that community and that scene. And part of the vision is having almost like a little pocket park in the back. The building that we're looking at has a stage.
Yeah.
So it would be perfect for, up and coming artists who want to perform. And
Oh, for sure.
I
Yeah.
feel like you're in the know who knows all the music people.
Yeah.
So that would be great to connect.
Yeah, I've talked to a few that are more in the like singer-songwriter perform by themselves or with like just one
Yeah.
or two people type thing that were very interested. So I think there's
That's
a
awesome.
lot of possibilities here.
Yeah, Amber saw the building yesterday because the event that we did
Hmm.
was right across from where it was. And I was
Oh,
like, that's
nice.
the building. And she was like, so
Very exciting.
manifesting.
Well,
Yeah, it's all
well,
going to come together when it's supposed to.
it's all come together.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you so much for listening or watching. If you are not currently watching the video, it is on Spotify or YouTube, and I'm really trying to grow on YouTube. That's like my main channel that I'm pushing people towards. So if you're not already subscribed, what are you doing with your life? Please hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and share this episode with a friend who is a lover of music, preferably in the St. Louis community. I hope you guys have a great week. Let's get it. Let's go.